Thanks everybody for joining. I want to speak about the Xtend language. Xtend is a language built on the JVM, and you know there are plenty of them. You have Kotlin, Clojure, Scala, and all they have their needs and yeah, are used for something specifically which is better than Java. They try that. And same for Xtend. Who knows Xtend? Most of you, so I hope you enjoy this talk anyway. So I want just to give you a short overview about Xtend. How we place Xtend is Java 10 today. This is our website, and actually it's quite old. It was built in the ancient times of Java 7, and with Java 7 we didn't have closures and so, and it took a long time until Java 8 got real. And 2 days ago I learned that there will be no Java 10. Oracle changed their naming scheme, and the next Java version will be 18.3 because it's coming in March 2018. So we might have to do something about this website. So let's have a look at how we place Xtend. It's a fully functional programming language. It's a dialect of Java. We try to make it Java easier. So leave out all things that are not necessary. It compiles to Java code. So from Xtend code we produce Java code. And this is also different to other JVM languages, which usually compile to bytecode directly. And there are good reasons to do this that way. You get readable source code, you can debug the code, and so on, and it's quite nice. Of course, since it's compiling to Java code, you can also integrate any Java library with that, so it's completely seamless. And the produced Java code is actually readable. It's pre-printed. It's quite close to what you would write in Java, but of course we have our own concepts which have to be translated to Java somehow. And it's fast. The execution time of Xtend code is naturally fast because we just produce Java, and so it's the same execution time as you would write in manual code. And we have lambdas, macro functions. We can overload operators, and many things more. Good news. Last week we released our newest version, 2.13, and it should be a rather fast and stable release. Xtend can be used in many ways, since it's just another language which tightly integrates with Java. You can use it for Android development, for GWT development. It's quite easy to learn, and so it's really nice. But to know where Xtend has its strengths from, we have to know a little bit about the past. Where comes Xtend from? Xtend originates from another language which is called Expand. You may know that Expand was part of the former Open Architecture Web project, and then we moved that to Eclipse. I think it was 2008 or something like that. And we used Expand for code generation and model transformations and so on, but it had its flaws. It was interpreted, the debuggers were not good, the editor had their flaws, the Java integration was not that good. And what we did then is to basically to re-implement that, and what we get out of that is Xtend. Oh, sorry, I was a little bit too fast. Xtend itself is implemented with Xtext, and in Xtext we use Xtend heavily. So We have a good feedback loop when something is not working correctly. As a consequence also is that Xtend automatically benefits from any Xtext release, and we are constantly improving Xtext, making it faster, making it more scalable, making it error-proof, and so, with every Xtext release, Xtend becomes better. So we compile to Java code. This is a typical Xtend example, very simple. It looks like Java, and it compiles to Java. This here is specific to Xtend. We're using here an Xtend library. And this is actually what we are dependent on. We have runtime dependencies, but they're quite minimal. So our only dependencies in Xtend are these 4 libraries, and Google Guava, everyone uses it. This is the biggest part with 2.6 megabytes, and in overall we have 3 megabytes of runtime dependencies. So that's not much. So what do we have in Xtend? One interesting thing is active annotations. With active annotations, we have the possibility to influence the way Xtend produces its Java code. So we have a standard way to transpile from Xtend to Java, but you can modify that and add additional functions to the generated Java code, or add additional parameters, implement additional interface, and so. And this is an example where we use some built-in active annotation, the add data annotation, which would create an immutable data structure. And you see it's very dense. We don't need to write visibility modifiers in Xtend. Private things are default for attributes, and with the data, we also get getter automatically, and also a constructor. When you look at Java lambdas, they improve the way we do functional programming in Java today. Still, it's quite complicated to write them. And with Xtend, the same that we are doing here, it's basically selecting from a set of movies the best ones in a certain time frame. That's the way that Java would do it. In Xtend, we can express this that way. So we have far more concise closure notation, and that's rather easy to write. Very powerful thing in Xtend are extension methods. Extension methods are methods that would extend a class non-invasively. So you can just say, okay, I have something like string class, and I would want to have additional functions for strings which Java long string does not provide, or meta class. And so you just write a function. And the interesting thing is, the first parameter that this function gets, and when it's used, can be used in a prefix notation, and this would look like this. So I can use the get primary key function just to invoke primary key on an entity. So it's, it changes the way that you write code. As you know that Xtend originates from expand. One of the most powerful things that Xtend is in is code generation. I think it's the best language to write code generators, and I'm doing this all day. Especially since we all have the nice things in Eclipse, like static typing and content assist, and sorry for that, content assist, and it's very readable. One interesting thing is these differences between gray spaces and white spaces. So here you can see in a template which spaces are really printed out to the generated Java code, in this case, and which white spaces are just for formatting the template. So everything which is white here, this won't appear in the generated output, and everything which is gray will be actual white space in the generated code. What you also can see here is we have here access to elements from the meta model within these GIMO brackets, and here you can access state from the objects that you get here in to the function, and this makes code generation templates very readable. Another thing where Xtend has its power is model transformations. That's maybe not that familiar, and one thing that you need for model transformations is to solve the typical chicken egg problem. You will create, when you transform model to model, and you usually have the problem that you want to create things first and later refer to the same things. And if you do this with normal programming, you would build up cache maps and so, and try to put this into maps and look at up again and so. And in Xtend it's different. You can we have a mechanism which is called a create function, the special thing is if we would do this here to say create something, this will give me on first call for some element a new instance which is created with this factory expression, and initialize that. And whenever I call the same method again with the same arguments, I will get the same instance back. Will not create new instances. And this is very powerful for model transformations. What you can do there could be, you could see more on a talk tomorrow where Andreas Graf will show this in an industrial context where they really built big model transformations in the automotive context with Xtend. And of course, for the code generation part, we also have in Xtext plenty of examples where we use that feature. Our own code generator is based on Xtend. Okay, so that's it about Xtend. Thank you very much. I'm available here at the conference. Would like to talk with you if you would like to know about the future of Xtend and maybe discuss the one or the other topic. Yeah, but that's it. Thank you. Questions? Okay.